Okay, so it's my privilege to introduce our keynote speaker, Paula Golden. Paula initiates innovative partnership with nonprofit, university, and non-government organization to elevate STEM literacy and create equitable access to STEM education. Paula spearheads the Broadcom Master and the Broadcom Master International world-renowned middle school science and engineering competition of the Society for Science. Prior to launching her STEM education career, Paula earned her BA in English and Education from Wellesley College and her JD cum laude from New England School of Law, where she served as assistant dean and instructor of law. Paula's contribution to nonprofit thought leadership and creating inclusion and equality in STEM education have been widely recognized. Today, the topic she will share is Coding the Future. After the presentation, there are 5 minutes for Q&A. Please give a warm welcome to Ms. Paula Golden. Paula, please take the floor.
Thank you so much. Can you see me now? I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah? All right. Well, first of all, I must say I got a kick out of seeing the introductory photo. That photo was from probably the first year that I got to, was introduced to CASPA and participated in one of your fairs. I'm a little older than that, maybe a little grayer, but over the years, we have been great friends and colleagues around a mutual passion for STEM learning among young people. So it's a great pleasure to be here again and to share some thoughts with you about where Broadcom Foundation is going with regard specifically to coding. I don't know if we can access my screen. Can I share screen now?
Yes, yeah? Please.
Okay, let's see if this works here. All righty, let's see what we got. Hang on, folks. Okay, all right. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Gosh, I can see so many of me. Let me move me out of the way. Wait, there. Okay. So I'm going to start by talking about really a new direction that Broadcom is going. For many years, we have supported science fair broadly. And of course, we will continue to do so. We're going to be supporting 50 science fairs, in addition, obviously, to being engaged with CASPA. We feel very strongly that science fair really offers an avenue for young people to realize their passion for science and encouraging them at a young age to really take advantage of what STEM really means in their lives. We all know that kids can get distracted these days. They can find other things to do with their time, but if we keep them focused on project-based learning and engaged in science and engineering, we know that in the end, we're going to have more young engineers to be part of the organizations like Broadcom. So with that in mind, let's see if we can make this move to the next. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so the first thing I want to share with you is that we really are taking a new direction where we're going to be talking about coding and its relationship to sustainability. What you see here are the 17 sustainable goals of the United Nations, which really represent all the areas of STEM and all of the related STEM offshoots, such as healthcare, agriculture, equity, population. All of these issues relate to science, and they relate to how we need to challenge ourselves for future sustainability of our beautiful planet. So we're taking a turn, but we've always had these basic values. I want to remind you of them. We want to increase STEM education pathways. We want to spark an interest in coding and computational thinking, because we believe that these are the foundational tools needed to encourage science, engineering, technology, innovation. And lastly, we want to promote active citizenship. Now, this is a category which is very broad. We believe that critical thinking is very important to how young people will navigate their future world as good citizens in their community, as voters, as people who are concerned about leadership. Having those skill sets set at an early age actually take place in the way that they engage in STEM projects. So with that in mind, I wanted to share the 2023, next year's big goals for the Broadcom Foundation. One, we will be involved with the STEM ecosystems. Now, actually, CASPA is its own STEM ecosystem. You not only engage adults and businesses and kids and families and communities, you commit yourselves to having STEM literacy throughout all of those constituencies. This is something we believe in and something we want to support. We do it not only through organizations like CASPA, but also in the STEM learning ecosystems, of which there are 98 nationwide and 100 worldwide. These organizations try to really bring science and engineering principles to young people at every level of their education, both inside the classroom and outside the classroom, in after-school programs and in science and engineering fairs, such as the one we're at today. We're going to award this kind of thinking about citizenship, coding, sustainability through a new program called Coding with Commitment that I'll talk a little bit more about. And we're partnering with the Raspberry Pi Foundation to establish code clubs. And quite frankly, I'm inviting CASPA to talk to me about a code club that might be associated with you over the next couple of years. We're actually trying to influence STEM policy and make sure that our government in the United States commits funds to STEM education by helping to support a STEM fellow in the White House in the Office of Science Technology Policy, a woman named Quincy Brown. You can look her up, Dr. Quincy Brown, to help support the White House and advise the president and his team on how best to spend STEM dollars that rain down from not only the Department of Education, but other departments like NASA, Labor, Commerce, and other programs within the United States departments that actually support young people in STEM. So we want to make sure that all that money comes down and reaches our children. We think it's extremely important. So let's talk a little bit about where we think coding is going. I love this quote from Tim Cook at Apple. If I were a French student and I were 10 years old, I think it would be more important to learn coding than English. This is the language that you can use to express yourself to 7 billion people on Earth. I think coding should be required in every public school in the world. Well, that's a big statement, but we happen to agree with him. And we think that coding is really a basic skill and language that is a great equalizer for all young people, no matter what their race, ethnicity, economic standing. It's a common language they can all share at a price point that's very affordable from our perspective. One of the reasons why we think it's so important, and those of us that are familiar with Silicon Valley are aware of this story, it was put in the newspapers just 2 weeks ago. John Doerr, who's a wonderful capitalist who's invested in lots of technology companies we know and love, he just put $1.1 billion to a new school of sustainability at Stanford University. And his quote, I think, is very prophetic and something we should all keep in mind when we think about the value of coding for all young people. Client and sustainability are going to be the new computer science. This is what young people want to work on in their lives, and for all the right reasons. And it's true. If we can combine the basic skills of coding, we can have young people engineer sustainability in a natural world that is desperately in need of their innovation. Now, the beauty of coding, as I've mentioned before, is anyone can do it. It creates economic opportunity, not only in our tech companies and in the engineering world, but throughout all of the disciplines that are part of our healthy economy, whether it's in finance or education. you name it, coding will have a role to play in your life if you go into those fields. It gives kids a hiring edge. If you look at resumes today, and we all have a chance to do that when young people come knocking, at the bottom where it says skills, it used to just say typing, or it used to say just language. Now it says Java, Python. It says all kinds of terminology that we know indicates their proficiency as young coders. And lastly, it creates life work flexibility. Working on a computer can be done pretty much everywhere. And as we've learned during COVID, that's certainly the case. So this is where we're going. This is the Raspberry Pi. I know that we've got ARM as one of our partners in crime, and we love the Raspberry Pi because they have a foundation that does something very special that I'm going to share with you today. But to enhance education and online learning, which we think where no one's turning back from online learning, we're going to end up with a hybrid system because we learned so much during the pandemic about the value and the potential of online learning. Plus, in this country, we are going to see an infusion of infrastructure dollars to strengthen our broadband across the nation. All of this means there's an opportunity for Broadcom, along with its partner, the Raspberry Pi Foundation, help close that digital divide for girls and underrepresented youth in urban, suburban, and rural communities. Now, this is the way we're going to get there. Coding with commitment right now is something that we do just in the 50 science fairs that are associated with Society for Science in the Public, but we want to expand this. And we're just figuring out the ways to do it now for 2023 when we'll launch. But basically what we want to do is reward young people who create using coding and have a passion for improving their community and come up with projects that enable them to make their community a better place. No matter how simple their project is, no matter how rudimentary their skill level is, we believe they can use that to improve the world around them. Once you learn to act locally, you can think globally. So this is the way we're doing this within the 50 Society for Science fairs at the moment, is that the prize will go to a student who, regardless of their access to computer technology, this is not a prize for the best, brightest, and richest kid in the class. It's a prize that goes to the kid with the most passion and a desire to use coding and science to achieve a goal. And that goal can be to measure clean water. It can be to improve something around the home that they feel is unsafe. It can be used to create a communication tool that'll help someone who's blind or deaf have a little better shot at a full life. However they do that, they're coding with commitment in our eyes. And we're trying to recognize 6th, 7th, and 8th graders for this. Now, you may ask, why do we do it at that level? Quite frankly, we think that is a turning point for young people to stay with science and engineering. If you can keep them excited about what they're doing in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, they're going to make good choices with electives in high school. I think that's very, very important. So here's our partner, Raspberry Pi Foundation. And one of the programs that they're developing in the United States now, we want to help them with this, is to create as many clubs as we can, both in and out of school, in any kind of informal learning settings, both in museums or Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, wherever there's a gathering of young people who can take advantage of free, let me say that a third time, free online resources for training and support to learn how to code. The Code Club model was set up about the time I first got involved with CASPA. I went to the UK, and there was a woman who set up Code Clubs, and that was adopted. That whole program has been adopted by the Raspberry Pi Foundation to create just a marvelous set of tools online at raspberrypi.foundation.org. You can go there, raspberrypi.org actually. You can go there and access online tools to create a code club. They're not only good for the students, but they provide tools for teachers and for out-of-school administrators to be able to shape a code club for kids at all levels and get them started with coding. Now, this is how Raspberry Pi got started. Actually, it's sort of a little bit of history. And again, back in when I first met folks that are associated with CASPA, Broadcom engineer Evan Upton, who's now the CTO of Broadcom, of RaspberryPi.com, he developed the Raspberry Pi. And the reason he did this is because he was teaching at Cambridge University and realized the young people were coming into his class, his computer science class, and not knowing how to code. So he determined that he was going to create something that would let the entire world be able to code at a price point that was affordable. And he came up with a teeny tiny little Raspberry Pi. And from that, the Raspberry Pi Foundation was born. And since then, over the last 12 years, Evan and I have stayed close. And the Raspberry Pi Foundation has grown to the point where these online resources are available. What you see in this picture is not only Evan and I when we were much younger, but you also see below one of our Broadcom employees. This was taken about a month and a half ago with a coding club at a after-school program in the Bronx in New York City, working with a Raspberry Pi to do some fun work and using this coding opportunity to advance their skills. That'll help these kids get on to high school and college with much more tools at hand. So this is how big the code clubs are now. Now, these were statistics from a pre-pandemic, but they're coming back to this level now very quickly. 13,000 clubs worldwide, and I want to encourage all of you listening who are not in the United States, these clubs are available and the tools are available worldwide, and anyone that's interested, I'm happy to connect you directly with raspberrypi.org to talk about wanting to set up clubs in your neck of the woods. And you have an awful lot of kids, almost 200,000 children who are being touched by this in 28 languages. This picture was taken again in the States, but I have pictures that were taken in Israel, some that were taken in Shanghai. I know these clubs are growing everywhere, and we're very excited about getting kids coding, particularly, may I add, young women, because they're a little bit behind the curve in catching on to coding as something cool to do. But coding is not only for engineers, it's for makers, designers, artists. And as we see our world becoming a more visual world in education and in all applications, it's no surprise that young women are picking up on this and wanting to become part of the Code Club fan base. So these are the tools that a Code Club gives you. Free coding resources, facilitator guides. They have little competitions and challenges. They have graphic assets, posters, stickers, certificates that you can download for your little club. They have a curricula, and more importantly, they have a technical support staff that's very available and eager to reach out to anyone that wants to develop a code club. They're working not only in Scratch, which of course is the basic format that was developed by MIT, but in Python and HTML and CSS. It's good to know that they're expanding their coding applications higher and higher levels. As kids get older, they want to be challenged more, and code clubs are being responsive to that. So the things that happen at these code clubs, I think, are pretty well understood. You code, obviously, but you also have an opportunity to collaborate with other students. You learn to take risks, and we all know how important that is in the engineering world. You have to be willing to fail and not be afraid to fail in order to succeed, because we all know that failing is learning. It's not failing, it's just learning how to try again and do it a different way. So it's very important that risk taking is part of what we're teaching in code clubs. Teamwork, problem solving, project-based learning. You can pick up science projects on the Raspberry Pi website that kids can learn to code around. And we think that's really important as well too. Of course, patience and creativity goes without standing. We certainly need those in our profession. Learning those skills early is very important. This last week, Coolest Projects Global was held. If you go online to the raspberrypi.org or you go to coolestprojects.org, you will see all the projects from kids all over the world. One of the things I love about this program, which we also support, is that kids can be showcasing their work, even if it's not completed. It's not a prize-driven showcase. It's an opportunity to come and see what everybody's into, whether they're just beginning a project, completed a project, new to coding, advanced in coding. It's just one of the best exhibitions on the planet. And we're really proud to be sponsors of this Projects Global. So this is the challenge that we have at Broadcom, and we know that you share this as an important challenge. Let's put the power of computing and digital making and design in the hands of young people all over the world. And with that, I thank you. I'm happy to take a few questions. I love this picture. I had it at the beginning slide as well around the 17 sustainability goals. And I want to reemphasize that I think that coding, technology, innovation are really going to be pretty critical to our planet being able to sustain itself for our young people and for generations to come. There's a lot of work to do. Let's get busy. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Paula. Thanks for your sharing. And any questions from our audience? You can unmute yourself, or you can put your questions on the chat room. Okay, there's the one from Mingyu. Paula, I just raised the question to you. Okay, Paula.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, this one is from Mingyu. The question is how to guide and motivate the kids to STEM, especially for the parents don't have strong STEM background.
Well, quite frankly, I think the idea of setting up code clubs is one way to do that. I was at a code club in the UK a couple of weeks ago with parents who quite frankly, clearly were not coders themselves, but they were sitting in a room and there were volunteer engineers like CASPA would offer up, guiding the students. And in this club, and I think it's often the case, particularly when they're young children, the parent is required to stay with the kid. So you end up having a non-technical parent sitting next to a child and having a volunteer guiding the child and the parents learning along with the child. So it's a way of I think, stimulating an interest, but also giving the parent a sense of what the kid is doing. Beyond that, I think it's extremely important that young people be encouraged to be in after-school programs, particularly between the ages of K and 8, because that is where they're going to have I think increasingly, the opportunity to dive into STEM projects of all kinds in all 4 STEM areas. After school time is really important to young people these days, and a lot of families that are not STEM minded need to take advantage of after school programming.
Okay, thank you, Paula. So first one is just stay with your children with the STEM program. That's the first one. The second one, just send the kids to the after school program, right? Okay, thank you, Paula. And it seems, Yulin has a question.
Yes, well, thank you, Paula, for a very inspiring talk. I actually have 2 questions. The first question is regarding United States AI education. One of the most recent research report from Stanford indicated that although United States invested the most in AI, however, its AI education ranked number 13, which is really, really bad. So my first question is regarding your foundation's strategy, in addition to coding, which is great, about AI education. That's my first question. Second question is regarding NGSS. As you know, that NGSS is next generation science standards that was proposed by United States in 9 years ago, 2013. It is very much part of the students' study every day, especially since K to 12. So if you could help us understand your foundation's connection with NGSS, it would be great. Thank you.
Wow, those are both very complicated questions that I can't answer in the short term, but let me give it a little bit of context. Let me start actually with your second question. The NGSS is really important, and Broadcom Foundation has for the last 10 years been a founding member of something called the National STEM Funders Network. You may be aware that NGSS is implemented on a state-by-state basis. So what we have tried to do as a thought leader is to encourage states to understand the value of the NGSS and their applications, particularly in public schools where resources have been lacking.
and where sometimes the education of the teachers or the ability of teachers to teach is somewhat limited. So our emphasis has been on advocacy there. I think there's a long way to go. In the United States, many of you may know, our education system is driven at the state level, which makes it very difficult to come up with national policy. Now, having said that, one of the reasons why we are supporting a fellow in the White House, and we have supported a fellow for the last, I should say, 7 years. We have not, this is nothing new to us, is because we really believe it's important to have STEM whispers where we can to talk about the deficiencies of the United States as an international competitor in STEM and in programs that are evolving so very quickly like AI. We need to step up our game. I've spent time abroad and I know what the competition is. And partly because of our infrastructure here that's driven by the states, we're challenged to catch up. And yet at our higher education level, of course, everybody wants to come here and get educated in our universities, but we don't do a good job for our own kids before that. The only thing I can say is you should all vote when you can vote and speak your mind on the issues of education and make sure that you put people in office who share our views that we need to put education at a higher level, both in how we spend our money and directing it towards some of the issues that will make her stronger economically. I hope that's a good enough answer. It's a little bit political, but I will tell you, we as scientists and engineers, we need to step up and be heard and make our voices known if we want to see science and mathematics as critical elements to learning for young people in the United States.
Thank you, Paula. Since there are more questions in the chat room, but we have a limited time, I'm so sorry. I'm not sure. Can you just answer some question in our chat room, and it will be appreciated. So
sure. Are you going to leave it open so I can do that after I stop speaking? Is that what you want me to do?
Yeah. You can.
Okay.
Can you see the chat room?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the other audience, if you have any more questions, please go to the chat room and ask more questions. Thank you, and thank you, Paula, and
Yes.
thanks for your sharing your thoughts about the importance of STEM and the direction of the Broadcom. And as the STEM ecosystem, we hope that CASPA and the Broadcom Foundation will have more collaboration in the future.
Me too. Thank you so much for inviting me. It's been an honor, as always.
Thank you, Paula.
Bye, everyone. Have a good conference.
Mm-hmm.
Bye-bye. Good luck to the kids.
Thank you.